Good morning, YouTube. My name is Sean Jolly. I am the co-owner of Veterans Transportation Company LLC out of Birdsboro, PA. We started this trucking company a year ago, and we bought this truck here hoping to make our lives a little better, own our own company, put a little bit of money back towards the community, because you always do that with taxes, no matter if they're local, federal, and see how things went. I've been a truck driver for almost 20 years now, and I've owned trucks in the past. I've always had at least two companies. This is the first time that we've actually owned our own company with our own authority. And I decided I'm going to start doing these videos to try to help with public safety on the road, things that we see out there. If you like the channel, make sure you subscribe to it, share it. If you got videos that you've gotten out on the road from, like accidents, stuff like that, send them in. I know a lot of people like to see carnage and all that, but that's not primarily what we're trying to do. We're going to show the videos, but we're also going to highlight on them the things that could have been avoided that might have caused that accident. So I know a lot of stuff I see is road rage, and road rage contributes to lots of accidents out on the road these days. Today's topic is actually going to be geared towards mechanic work. Mechanic work also falls into towards safety, because if it's not done properly, it can cause an accident out on the road. Case in point, I've had some bad mechanic work done on the truck that I didn't know about, and it caused me to break down Sunday over in Benson, Arizona, and I wasn't able to get all the way off the road, and I almost got hit 5 times before a driver came up and let me hook a chain up to his truck, and he pulled me off the road to get me out of the way and get me out of harm's way. And I appreciate that it was a Schaefer driver. And the nice thing about this driver is this driver was traveling westbound, I was traveling eastbound on I-10, and he turned around, he went down to the next exit, turned around, and came back to me and pulled me off the road because nobody else was stopping to help me, and then got back on, went to the next exit, turned around to go back around the way he was supposed to be going. And he was not even an owner-operator, he was a company driver. He kind of violated his company policies to do that, but I really appreciate him helping me out and getting me out of harm's way. So let's go up here, and we're going to take a look at what's been going on. So when I broke down, I wasn't getting any fuel, and the main culprit for that, I'm going to turn the camera around so I can show you guys, if it'll let me. Well, it won't let me. We're going to have to do it this way. If you see right down in there, that is the pickup pump that we had to replace because the computer said the truck wasn't getting any fuel pressure. It also said the #1 injection pump, which is here. There's 6 of them. There's one here, and there's one there. There's number 3, number 4, number 5, and number 6 is back underneath there. The #1 injection pump wasn't getting enough pressure either, so we replaced that. And in the meantime, we noticed this little guy up here was broken. That's the boost pump. That's the sensor that tells the truck how much boost to give you for your turbo. And because that's apparently been broken for a while and it was all clogged up, I wasn't able to get any boost, which has been making me get really horrible fuel mileage. After replacing all that, we found out that the truck had a bad crankshaft sensor, a bad camshaft sensor. We got all that fixed, and now this is our problem right here. This is the computer for the truck. This is the brain, and it's bad. It's not registering what injector is supposed to be firing, when it's supposed to. A lot of the parameters have been deleted on it. It basically lost its memory. That computer was installed by the Peterbilt in Hagerstown, Maryland on February 28th of 2018, right before we bought the truck, and it was $2,000 a year ago. They want $2,500 for one today, and that's what we're going to have to pay to get a new computer, because our warranty ran out 3 days after the truck broke down. 3 days after the warranty ran out. So now our repair bill, including tow bill, is up to almost $8,000 for all of this. But another thing I wanted to show you was this belt. That belt hooks to that alternator that's down there on the ground. That alternator hooks to a bracket that's installed right here, and the alternator sits here. The belt was sitting inside here. The mechanic that's working on the truck right now left the belt sitting there while he was trying to crank the truck to make sure it was getting fuel, to see if it was going to start. And essentially, because he didn't pull the belt out while he was cranking the truck, apparently it grabbed a hold of one of those pulleys and it broke the belt. So now he owes me a belt because I'm not paying for that. He broke it, I didn't. It didn't break on its own. When we bought the truck, the dealership that we bought it from installed an EG cooler. I don't know if you can see it, but that's the EGR cooler that my finger's pointing at right there. In order to get the EGR cooler off, you got to take the turbo off, the EGR valve, all this stuff has to come off out here in order to get that EGR cooler out. The mechanic that did the work, when he put the new EGR cooler in there, he put the turbo back on and he forgot to tighten the nuts and bolts up. We drove the truck for 20 days, getting 3 miles to the gallon, and couldn't figure out what was going on. And after 20 days, this gasket inside between here, the bolts fell out and that gasket blew out, and it started making a loud noise, and that's how we knew something was wrong. That's when we found out that the turbo was fixing to fall off, and it cost us $800 to get nuts and bolts and gaskets and labor. $800 for nuts and bolts and gaskets to get this all put back the way it's supposed to be. And all because a mechanic didn't want to do his job completely. And so that's our theme today, is mechanics doing their job right. If you're a mechanic and you work on somebody's truck, car, whatever, you need to do a proficient job. The old adage is, if you got a couple nuts and bolts left over, then you're doing something right because it doesn't need all of them. Let me tell you something. Engineers that design these engines, these vehicles, they don't design the nuts and bolts in the places that they're supposed to be because they want to put extra nuts and bolts on your vehicle. It's a waste of their time, it's a waste of money, it's a waste of time and money for everybody. So if the nut and bolt comes on the vehicle, even zip ties, you need to put it back on there because it's supposed to be there for a reason. So if you have extra nuts and bolts left over, you did something wrong, and you need to go back and do it all over again, and not charge the customer either, because that's your fault. You should be proficient at your job if you want to work on vehicles. When it comes to wiring harnesses and zip ties, I'll show you what I'm talking about there. You see that wiring harness right there? It was laid up against my air compressor because somebody decided not to put the zip tie back on it, and it melted the wiring harness, and it melted all 3 of those wires together, so we had to get that repaired also. And most likely that's the culprit that fried the computer and fried all these sensors, because all 3 of those wires were melted together, and that harness goes directly to the computer. So a 10-cent zip tie, 10 cents that it costs for a zip tie to tie that wiring harness back up, has cost me $8,000 that I can't get back, that I can't get a warranty work on. We don't know who did it, so I'm stuck paying the bill. And over 10 cents and laziness. So if you're a mechanic, you need to be good at your job. If you don't know what you're doing, get help from somebody. You know, if you want to, if you're still learning, make sure you get with somebody that knows what they're doing, you know, and ask them, because that's the only way you're going to know. Don't try to wing it. I know everybody's out to make money, but you don't have to rob the people with mistakes, because that's what you're doing. You're robbing people with mistakes. So that's our video for the day. That's what we wanted to cover. I hope everybody enjoyed it. Like I said, if you got any other videos, anything that's happened to your vehicle or whatnot, you want to send them in, make sure you subscribe to the page, like the page, share the page, and we look forward to seeing your videos. We'll get them posted up, get you credit for it and everything, and we'll talk to everybody later. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.